On pages 16 and 17, we're going to be solving one-step and two-step equations. This video will only go through the odd problems, and then there will be a second video for the even ones. So one-step equations, our job is to undo whatever is happening. Okay, so to undo, that means we use the inverse operation. So add and subtract, and then multiplication and division. Those are our inverse operations. So every time you have a problem, you're going to ask yourself what's happening to the variable, and then how do you undo that? You can also ask you the question, what number do I plug in to the variable to make the equation true? So if we look at number 1, what plus 12 would give me 10? Well, it actually needs to go down. You start with 12, it needs to go down, so your answer would be a -2. The way that happens is we have m plus 2. So what's happening to the variable is 12 is being added. So to undo addition, we subtract 12 from that side, subtract 12 from that side. Some people like to draw a line to keep their two sides of their equation equal. Whatever happens to one side also happens to the other. So then we work our way straight down. We just bring the m straight down. Those two cancel each other out. 12 minus 12. That's what undoes each other, cancels each other out. Equals 10 minus 12 is -2. It's always a good idea to check your answer. So to check, you plug -2 back in for m. -2 plus 12 does equal 10. So we know we did it correctly. When we look at number 3, -7 times y. So to undo multiplication, we divide. I highly recommend using the fraction bar for division rather than the division sign, because we'll get into some complicated ones where it will make a lot more sense if we have the fraction bar. So that cancels each other out. Y equals, when you do -91 divided by -7, you get +13. So then to check, again, if you don't want to write down what you're checking, that's fine, but you should at least type in -7 times 13 and make sure you get -1. And we do, so we know we did it correct. You should never get an equation wrong because you can always check your answer. Now, there is one little caution we have to do for fractions. So yes, this is multiplication, but we're multiplying by a fraction. Okay, so we don't ever divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So a over b changes to b over a. Anytime we are multiplying by a fraction, to undo it, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. So for number 5, we have 2/3 times x. So we multiply by 3 over 2. The 3's cancel and the 2's cancel. So times 3 over 2. Now you can do this in your calculator. There's also a couple other ways. If you think of this as 10 over 1, we multiply straight across. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. The other thing you can do is 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. When you check, you can either do 2ABC3 times 15 to make sure you get 10, or you can do 2 divided by 3 to make sure you get 10. Number 7, we have -6/5 times k, so we need to multiply by -5 over 6. Those cancel, make sure it's a -5 over 6. So k equals, again, you can type it in, or you should know that a positive times a negative is a negative, and the shortcut is to do 12 divided by 6 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. So k equals -10 should be our answer. Again, you can check that by doing -6/5 times -10 and make sure we end up with 12, and we do. Now our two-step equations, most of the time, these are the steps you will follow. We'll see some different ones on the back. All right, but usually we undo addition or subtraction and then the multiplication or division. You undo the order of operations, okay, in reverse. So if I were to plug a number in, I would multiply, then I would add. So I actually have to get rid of the addition first. So I have to subtract 8 from both sides. 6x equals, because those cancel out, 50 minus 8 is 42. This is 6 times x, so to get rid of the 6, I divide by 6, x equals 7. Again, you can check in your calculators. 6 times 7 plus 8 does give me 50, so I know I got the answer correct. 11 looks a little bit tricky because they flipped stuff around. If you want to rewrite it like that, you can absolutely do that. Just make sure your 4k stays negative and your 9 stays positive. I'll go ahead and do it this way in case you don't change it. So first we need to subtract our 9. 13 minus 9 is 4 equals -4k. This is multiplication, so I need to divide both sides by -4. Even though it's written this way, I'm gonna put my variable first. It's always a good idea to put your variable on the left-hand side. So those cancel. 4 divided by -4 is -1. So again, -4 times -1 plus 9 does give us 13. On the back, number 13, the only difference here is we have division. So we need to get rid of the -7 by adding 7 to both sides. X over 2, or x divided by 2, equals 16. 9 plus 7 is 16. To get rid of divided by 2, I have to multiply both sides by 2. So x equals 32. So in your calculator, you would do 32 divided by 2 minus 7, and that does give us 9. For 15, again, first we get rid of the addition, so we're going to subtract 22 from both sides. 3/5 x, that goes away, equals 28 minus 22 is 6. To get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So times 5 over 3. Times 5 over 3. Again, you can do that in your calculator. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. So x equals 10. So to check it, 3/5 times 10 plus 22 does equal 28. 17 is a tricky one. Even though this is a plus sign, you need to look here, and that's a -10, a -10, so we have to add 10 to get rid of it. All right, if it helps, you can rewrite the equation like that, 7/4 p minus 10. All right, but you have to see that we have to add 10 to both sides because that is a -10. So if you would have written -10, when you worked your way down, you would have gotten -20. That's how you know it is incorrect. So 7/4 p equals -38 plus 10 is -28. To get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So times 4 over 7 times 4 over 7. P equals, I know it's going to be negative because I have one negative and one positive. Again, you can do it in your calculator, or 28 divided by 7 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So P equals -16 is what we have for our answer. -10 plus 7/4 times -16 does give me -38. So again, always check your answer. If you don't get what it's supposed to equal, then go back and try to fix it. Now, here are some examples where it says here to watch out. This is different, all right? I call this a big fraction problem. You cannot subtract 11 right away because it's actually 11 over 8. So when you see a big fraction, when you have things happening on the top of the fraction, addition, subtraction, whatever it is, you actually have to multiply first. Okay? So for this, we have to multiply by 8 because that gets those to cancel. Multiply by 8. X plus 11 equals negative 24. Then I subtract my 11. So x equals negative 35. You have to be really careful when you check this. If you type this in, negative 35 plus 11 divided by 8, like that, it's going to tell you you're wrong. What you have to realize is you need to put this in parentheses, negative 35 plus 11 parentheses, and then divided by 8. You need to do the whole top before you divide by 8, and then you see it does equal negative 3. For 21, again, you have to get rid of the denominator first. So we're not going to multiply by negative 6. To get rid of that, multiply by negative 6. That gives me negative 6 equals a minus 13. Again, if you want to flip that around to say a minus 13 equals negative 6, you are more than welcome to do that. We need to then add 13 to both sides. A equals 7. So again, technically 7 equals A is also an acceptable answer. It's just a lot better if we have our variable on the left-hand side. If I'm going to check it, parentheses 7 minus 13 divided by negative 6, and we get positive 1.